Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Jim Kleiber Show. This may be a new segment I'm calling Jim and Friends, or it may not be. We'll see how it goes. But I have a friend with me today named Daniel Choudry. I pronounced your last name correct, right? Okay, good.
You got it
I
right.
should have.
You pronounced it
After so many
perfectly.
years, I should have. And Daniel and I have known each other for quite a few years now. 18, maybe? 2018? It
Yeah, 18.
was 2018. Gosh, 7 years
2018. The
now.
first time we met
Wow.
was 2018.
Wow. And just a little introduction, Daniel and I met at an ISEC alumni conference in Uganda, in Kampala, Uganda. And Daniel was not part of ISEC, but he was invited to speak there just because he's a very charismatic MC. And we are very grateful that he was invited to speak there and dance there, and that we became friends afterwards. And we have shared many a moment over the last couple years, but still not as many moments as I would like, but I'm glad to have him on the show. Um, Daniel, thanks for coming on the show. Is there anything you want to start off with? Maybe give a little bit of a background on how you ended up in Kampala, and then we can go.
Hey JK,
Daniel?
thank you so much for having me on the show. I like the name of the show, Jim Kleiber and Friends. I think that fits very well into what we're trying to do here. I'm
Hmm.
Daniel Choudry, aka the Sales Warrior, aka Mr. DC, aka the Sales Gladiator. Yeah, you could add on a few as well. So I'm very passionate about sales. By now, I guess you know that already because come on, who introduces themselves as the sales warrior, the sales gladiator, the sales sinotrack? I mean, this is how my staff calls me sometimes in office. So I'm so happy to be in the show. A little bit about me. I've been in sales. This is now 18 years. Um, as a consultant for 11 years, as a direct salesperson for give and take 8 years. Yeah, 8 years, 7, 8 years. So I've been a teacher in sales as well, retail marketing, international marketing at the university. You said I should introduce myself, so I'm just trying to look at the angle. I come from northern part of Uganda. Former child rebel. I was abducted as a young kid, 12-year-old kid. I had a very tough time as a child soldier, but that also taught me uh, coping mechanism, survival instinct, just to have a thick skin and as to navigate through the daily challenges of life. Came to the city for my A-level studies in 2005. Never looked back. As I speak now, I thought lead in the sales space in East Africa. Actually, if you searched Daniel Chaudhry on Google, probably to bring you quite a bit about some of the works that I've been able to do over the years. So that's the brief I can do. I am a dad, 4 amazing children. Yeah, so stop there. Don't ask many more questions about the kids or nothing like that. So don't bother. Okay, yeah. Over to you, JK.
So, one story that you've told me over the years that I really enjoy is how you motivated yourself to get to Kampala. Do you mind sharing a little bit about that?
Yeah, so back in '96, I think we had a teacher Anthony Opoa. I never used to like going to school. Interestingly, my grandfather used to say people go to school so that they can go to university and then they get a certificate and then they use the certificate to get a job. When they get a job, they pay them salaries, and then that salaries they use it to buy food. So we literally go through school just so we can eat better meals and better locations and things like that. So it's like as long as you go to the farm and you work really hard, food will always be there, and then you don't have a problem. So I didn't really have an interest to go to school. That changed. That changed actually entirely. There was a paradigm shift when one morning I went to school. The teacher that we hated the most, our maths teacher, um, turned out to be my greatest inspiration. And even today, I'm here in Kampala doing everything that I'm doing. The genesis is back then with teacher Anthony Poor. So that one morning we came to school, and then this is a teacher who used to come to teach us in t-shirt, torn in slippers, in like come on, we never loved the subject. We didn't like him clearly. But that day he came up all dressed up. He's put on a tie, white shirt, black trousers, black shoes. And he said, children, we are training you now that when you get to primary seven, I mean, our education system, hopefully our listeners and our viewers can be able to follow this. But our education system goes up to primary seven and you go to secondary. So he said, our school has never got a first grade in primary seven. So he's teaching us, he was training us that when we get to P7, our lot, somebody should get a first grade, or many of us should get first grade. And then he said, whoever will get a first grade in P7, you will get a chance to go to the capital city of Uganda. So he asked us to respond in chorus. What is the name of the capital city of Uganda? We all scream, Kampala. It's like, Kampala. It's like, yes, Kampala is the most beautiful part of Uganda. When in Kampala, there is no poverty. When in Kampala, you'll see a lot of cars. When in Kampala, um, nighttime is as clear as daytime because there is electricity. And during that time, we didn't have electricity in our school or in our village. Um, so he painted a picture of how beautiful Kampala was. It's like in Kampala, you see the tallest building in Uganda called Crescent Towers. The building is so tall that it touches the clouds. Come on, I thought it was like some kind of Trump Tower. You know me and Trump. Okay, I had to throw that one in. He talked about the biggest lake, the biggest freshwater lake in the world, Lake Victoria, that passes three countries. And then there's a big ship that docks in a place called Port Bell. It's like you just get a first grade in P7. You'll not only go to Kampala, you'll go and enter into the ship. And my village is along the road the plane used to go to Europe. So every day you see a lot of planes passing by. So it's like inside the plane is like paradise. And inside the plane, you want to take some juice, you just press a knob next to your chair and say juice. A robotic mechanism will bring some juice to you. Man, he lied. But I mean, at the time as a primary four kid, you can imagine we didn't think it was a lie. We thought, okay, this must
Mm.
be true. And that man really changed my life because from that day I became very focused. He said, if you want to get a first grade in P7, there are certain things you have to do. You have to come to school early in the morning. During assembly time, you have to be in front of the assemblies. During class time, you have to put your hand up to ask a question to teachers or answer questions that teachers ask. And no wonder today I'm a public speaker. The entire Genesis started then. So I became focused. He gave me a total paradigm shift. And then I became obsessed with the idea of going to Kampala. And every single day, going to school became more interesting. He planted a seed. That seed was Kampala. And I always like asking people, what is your Kampala? Because when you have a Kampala to chase, somehow the vision becomes clearer. The goals become clearer. Oftentimes, a lot of us, we want to be wealthy, want to be rich, but we don't have a Kampala to chase. We just want money. And then when you don't have that kind of path, you cannot draw a roadmap. So he gave us a roadmap to go to Kampala. Um, JK, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yep.
He gave us a roadmap to go to Kampala. You have to go to school early in the morning. You have to sweep the compound on time. You have to ask questions in class when the teachers are asking you questions. You have to speak English all the time. So when you have clarity of goals, then somehow you can design a roadmap to help you achieve it. So I always ask people, what is your Kampala? Because when you have a Kampala to chase, then you can develop a roadmap for it. For example, I know now you are on a mission of $40,000 in 40 days. That's probably for the $40,000 is your Kampala. So you're drawing a
Mm.
roadmap every single day. You're talking about it and things like that. So that's really pretty much how I became so obsessed with the idea of going to Kampala. Every page of my book, I was writing Kampala, Kampala, Kampala. And that's also very important. You have to be obsessed about your goals. You have to be obsessed about your aspirations. When I was abducted in 99 by the LRA,
Mm.
the Lord Resistance Army in Northern Uganda, what kept me going was the hope to one day go to Kampala, was the dream. I didn't want it to just die
Mm.
during this very tough time in the bush. So every single day I was telling God, I don't want to die before I see Kampala. I do not want to die before I see Kampala. And look at me now. Now I'm in Kampala. That's just a little bit of a brief about the story. If I have to go deeper into the story, it's going to take a lot of our time. So back to you, man.
I you say now you're in Kampala, now you see Kampala. No, you pretty much run Kampala, right? Not mayor of Kampala yet, or governor or whatever the term is out there. Um,
Yeah,
it had me thinking. I don't know if I've heard the story in that way before, and you talking about how your grandfather kind of said, "Eh, what's the point of school? If all the point of school is to get money so you can buy food, you can just have a farm and buy food. You can have food."
yeah, yeah,
And there's part of me in comparing that to what your teacher did and said, "No, Kampala, you have robotic butlers on the plane." Like
yeah.
it makes me wonder. I'm kind of scared to wonder it in a way, but like what your abduction would have been like if you had only your grandfather's kind of vision for what was going to happen. If you
Well,
didn't
I'm happy
have
you don't
that,
have to
yeah,
imagine no more.
exactly,
I'm so glad you don't have to
yeah.
imagine that because I think who knows? Probably wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
And I was reading something in the New York Times. It was talking about why uh, therapy culture might make us not have children. And it talks about how often in therapy culture we blame our parents for what they've done to us or how they've hurt us or ruined us. And I
Yeah.
think, when I hear your grandfather saying that to you, I think about sometimes in my past and being like, "Wow, I can't believe my parents instilled this pessimism in me." But it's not their fault. It's not their fault. They went through stuff. And so it's like, and what a grateful opportunity that you got a different exposure from your teacher. Even if he
Hmm.
fibbed a little bit, he instilled
I think
hope
it's
in
very,
you.
I think it's
How
completely.
has and how has that? How would you say that hope has, like, not only instilled in you, but how have you passed that on with other people? How do you think you're passing that on now?
Okay. I would say this, JK. As human beings, we are animals of progress. Um, a human being find meaning when there is progress. A human being
Mm.
become really frustrated when there's little progress or no progress. So, in my approach to consulting, to training folks how to sell better, how to achieve their targets, and things like that, I'm always more interested in, again, going back to my story, to their Kampala. What is their personal Kampala? Why do they go to work every single day for this bank, for this insurance company, for these manufacturers, for this fast-moving consumer goods company? Because if they're doing it just for the salary, then probably um, that will never be enough. There's always going to be
Mm.
some kind of a limit that they can earn. Um, I always try to drive them to what gives them meaning. Are you doing a job that gives you meaning? I always say I'm one of the luckiest people because I get to do things that I love doing. I kind of feel like I'm living my purpose. So beyond the idea of them chasing their Kampala, I think there must be an ultimate aspirations that all of us, aim for every single day as we live our lives. Because if the aspiration is just to pay bills and to drive slick cars, live in a wonderful, house, we know the people that have had it all, but they still committed suicide. We
Mm.
know people who have had it all, but they press the self-destruct mode. I think life is largely about purpose, doing something that gives you the satisfaction that only you understands. The world may not understand it, but you do understand that um, when I am doing this, let's talk about um, it's called the Albert Einstein phenomenon or the Michelangelo phenomenon. These folks, be it Elon Musk now, these folks dedicated their life on something that they really love doing, and they did it for the rest of their life, and they found meaning in it. Michelangelo was a great painter, and
Mm.
and the painting, was that Michelangelo or somebody else, the Italian guy?
Painter, sculptor. Yeah, he did quite a few
Yes,
things.
sculptor.
Yeah.
So he invested all his life in it. Einstein invested in life in finding, physics, issues of gravity, and all of that, calculating mathematics, and then he found meaning in that. I read in his autobiography written by Walter Isaacson. He talks about sometimes locking himself in a house for 6 months just to find answers to some of his calculus or things like
Mm.
that. So I think as humans, we got to invest our time and life to something that gives us that inner satisfaction that nothing else external can. So as I talk to people about chasing your Kampala, I always try to guide them that I hope the Kampala you're chasing has more meaning beyond finances, beyond accumulation of money and material things. So I think a Kampala like that would help you probably inspire more people in the world than just
Mm.
you being a show off. I have the BMW, I live in a distant house. I'm the sales warrior. The entire Kampala knows me. East Africa, they know me. I'm a superstar. I mean, that's all. Um, it's a facade. It's largely an act. The things that
Mm.
gives me so much meaning is when I touch somebody's life, when I give them an inspiration and courage to dare to pursue whatever it is that they're pursuing. I know, JK, you're pursuing making the world appreciate, connecting to our emotional self, connecting to our best self in terms of emotions and things like that. So you have the emotional defense system. You talk about this in a huge way, and it gives you meaning. It makes you happy. And I may not understand the level of happiness and joy you derive from it, and I don't have to understand it as long as you know.
Mm.
I feel really good about it. I've answered it in a very long way. I hope I made sense.
I think you did, but it's it's who knows what the audience thinks, but I think they'll understand. Oh man.
Yeah,
It has me thinking about, okay, so one question, what happens when you get your Kampala? You're in Kampala now. So your
yeah.
Kampala, you've already
Here's
reached
the
your
new
Kampala.
Kampala.
What's your next Kampala? What's your new Kampala? Did I lose you? You still
I don't
there?
know. Is it my internet?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Kampala internet sometimes is very frustrating, but I hope we
So
can be
so,
able to
so
write.
is your new Kampala to have really good internet?
Quite interesting that you say that, but yes, I wish we could get some better internet. But I mean, some days is really good
Yeah, yeah.
though. Yeah,
But I guess I asked that question because I think sometimes you think about Olympic athletes or some people that are super driven towards a specific goal and they achieve the goal and then life can feel really empty. So how do you get the new goal? How do you find that motivation?
I think we should never be one-dimensional. As humans, we get to do so many things, really.
Mm.
Let me use myself as an example. I'm a sales consultant, yes, and I love being a sales consultant, but I'm a farmer too. I keep some animals. I put some coffee. I have 50 acres that I'm doing coffee on now. And when I go to the farm, it gives me so much fulfillment. Just
Mm.
walking in the farm, it's a beautiful thing. Connecting to nature and things like that. I'm an author. When I'm sitting to write a book, it's very like I feel that satisfaction, appreciation of the thought process that I'm putting in writing.
Mm. Mm.
So there's a series of things that we can do as humans. I still want to give an example of your fellow American, a South African American, Elon Musk.
Mm.
Um, he has invested his life into so many things. Right now, he has SpaceX that is doing very well, the only private business that is working with government to send people to the moon and to space and things like that. He has the solar company that is, I think, one of the biggest solar company in the world. He has the internet, Starlink. He has the internet business, which is one of the biggest, probably internet revolution on earth. He decided to even join government as an advisor on DOGE, Direction of Government Efficiency. So I think as humans, we should not just be passionate about one thing. Our contribution, life is greater. Life is happier when we are. There are these C's. Number one, be a person of contribution.
Mm.
You must be someone that can contribute to the greater good be beyond self. But number two, be somebody who cares. I think being a person that cares means that also you are making contribution beyond self. Be somebody who can collaborate. That's the C. There are three C's. There's the caring, there is the contribution, and then there is the collaboration.
Mm.
You can be a mainframe from which so many other people can find life. You know, so many people can find life just by your mere existence. That you are a source of inspiration to so many people. You can be a source of livelihood to so many people. You can be a source of capital for so many people. You can be a source of knowledge for so many people. So we must always think in we must never think in binary. Life is not my binary. Life
Mm.
is multiplicity. There's so many things that we can be able to do. So the people that end up being frustrated after their career, let's say the athletes, and I would say it's an exception to the rule, not the rule. There are so many athletes
Mm.
that have gone on to do other greater things in life. Look at Cristiano Ronaldo. He has the hotels, he has the air transplant business, he has the water business, he has the gym business, he has multiplicity of business. So when he leaves football, there's so much that he can do. You could say the same about Michael Jordan. You can say the same about this lady Serena Williams. So there's so many sports people that have managed to reinvent themselves into other things after their sports career is done. So we must never
Mm.
look at life as a binary. That's really what I have to say about it.
I really love that. It's kind of like a portfolio approach. If you just have one Kampala, then if you get it, then life can fall apart. So not even just about goals, but relationships as well and friendships. And if we become too reliant on one thing financially, emotionally, professionally, or
Yeah,
whatnot, then it can really ruin us if it goes away.
yeah,
I guess the opposite side of that is, though, if we have so many different goals and so many different connections and so many different activities,
yeah.
it can be really complex and bring a lot of different conflicts and emotions, no?
It does. It does.
I mean, you brought up the example of Elon Musk, so I'll talk about it. But like, I imagine at some point it's like he has a lot going on. He's got something like 14 kids from I don't know how many mothers, at least four, five,
About eight,
six. I don't,
Marvin.
plus the different businesses, plus he's CEO, plus he's involved with government. Oh, your camera disappeared. I hope you're still around. Um, and it just what I've seen in my life is that as I get involved with more things, it tends to make more conflicts very apparent. Because I like having the conflicts, right? So I like enjoying my work and also enjoying my like romantic relationship and also enjoy hanging out with friends and also enjoy, time by myself. I like having those, but sometimes it can cause really intense conflicts, no?
Listen, JK, I look at it this way,
Mm.
and this could be very controversial as well. But let me say it: when you're a man of means, I mean financial means,
Mm.
a lot of conflict can be managed. Sometimes part of the resolution to your conflict is going to a new country, going to a new location, very, very mesmerizing place that can just calm your soul. Maybe sometimes you are having a conflict because your soul is troubled. You need to be in a place like Bali or somewhere in
Mm.
Thailand. And when you have the means to go there and you spend like a week, you come back rejuvenated and probably you look at that point of conflict with a different perspective. So I think being a person of means help you to resolve a lot of conflict much easier apart from political conflict. I talk about
Mm.
relational conflict. You can be able to sometimes just you can go with your person to another location, like change of location, change of perspective, different energy, different energies. But if you have to resolve this conflict in one place every single time you're in the same location, just the environmental hazard can bring a lot of anxiety.
Hmm.
Locational familiarity. Locational familiarity can bring a lot of anxiety as well. So I look at solving conflict from that perspective, that when you're a person of means, you can be able to buy situations that gives you peace.
Temporary peace.
Maybe, but that temporary can be part of the bigger, you know, solution. You know, I've seen even the president of the United States. Sometimes they go to, there is that place, that country residence that presidents go to. What is it called?
Curious if you know. I know. I'm just curious to see if you know. Let's see if you get it.
It's not Martha's Vineyard. No. Um, it's not St. Andrews. St. Andrews is the base. No, I've forgotten. I've forgotten.
Camp
Anyway, I'm
David.
Ugandan.
Camp
Camp
David.
David. Yes. Why should I think about American things? I'm Ugandan. I should be thinking about going to Queen Elizabeth or Mission Falls.
Part, part of me kind of giving you the time was just so that people who are American, especially listening, realize that people in Uganda know about Camp David. Like
Yeah,
a lot of Americans don't even know what Camp David is.
yeah. Or you go to Alaska, you go to Montana, very beautiful locations, and just kind of have fun there. So sometimes you just need to get away. For Donald Trump, he goes to Mar-a-Lago.
Hmm.
Um, that's this paradise in California. So is it in California?
Florida.
Florida.
No,
Okay.
no. Sometimes California doesn't even want to let him in, but it's Florida.
Okay. All good. All good. I know he has issues with the governor in California, but
Uh,
so the thing is, I think sometimes change of location brings about a change of perspective, and I think that's
hmm.
very important. That's one side of looking at it. The other side of looking at it as well is, you're not my source of happiness. Let's say we are in a brotherly relationship. I'm your brother, and we're probably staying together. I'm not your source of happiness. And let's give you an example now, JK, you and your girlfriend. You're not your
Hmm.
girlfriend's source of happiness. Neither
Hmm.
is she your source of happiness. If you come
Hmm.
into a relationship and you already traveled, you'll just get agitated by everything that I do as your partner. And then
Hmm.
and then for me, I think that's another perspective we have to think about. That if you come into a relationship thinking that your partner is gonna be the deriver of your joy and happiness, then you're totally cooked. Let me actually use the cooked. I want to use the F word, but I mean I know they've understood it. But yes. So so I think sometimes we have unnecessary expectations of our partners, that takes them away from spending more time thinking about how they can make this world a better place, spending more time thinking about living and serving their purpose, and just having you around as a companion, as a partner, that the journey and they do life with, they share ideas with. I think we should not think of life in terms of, if I do this, this person will be conflicted. If I do that, this person will be conflicted. I think when we look at life like that, then you are living with your person to impress, not
Hmm.
to actually uh, do life together. If you have to do life every single day, you have to be thinking about what are the ideas. How can you help them achieve their aspirations? How can you, can what you say help? Can some of the support, can it be material? Can it help? And how can they also, chip in with perspective, with ideas, with guidance, with material things that can help you also live your best life? So when we look at life like that, then I don't see a reason why we should have conflict in relationship.
It's funny because I actually, when I see everyone is conflicted all the time, like just having so many conflicts going on in their life, and I call it emotional combat, when I frame it that way, I go, oh, she's not angry only because of me. She's angry because of me and this thing and that thing and that thing and that thing. Aha. Maybe I'm only causing 10% of that anger, whereas previously I thought I was 100% of the anger. Oh,
Yeah, that's
okay.
big.
Okay, so
Oh,
maybe there's something that's causing 30% of the anger that I can help her with. Hmm. And maybe she doesn't
that's
even realize it's causing the anger.
That's deep. What you're saying there is quite deep. How did you come about that concept, like emotional combat? Like, where did it all start? Because it's deep. I find it pretty profound to me.
So when I was on, so I first started with I Feelio. It was all just reflecting how do I feel right now and what's happening. So it was very simple. Like I feel this, I feel this, I feel this. This is what's happening. Then I started going into I think you Feelio, which was on the app was how do I imagine this person is feeling in the moment. And then when I really started with emotional self-defense, it was about one-off attacks. And one of the tricks to getting out of the attack was to say how I was feeling in the moment, tell the other
Mm,
person how I imagined they were feeling in the moment. And then if I
mm,
did those two well, I would feel connected with love. But
mm,
in those, it wasn't just I feel angry that you did this. It was I feel angry that you did this. I also feel angry that I didn't sleep well last night. I also feel angry that the stock market collapsed or whatever, you know. And when I started to broaden the context for me and for the other person, I realized, oh, we're getting attacked in lots of different directions.
yeah.
And when I started thinking about not just a one off attack, when I started thinking about this variety of emotional attacks that were happening all the time, then I'm like, this is not a self defense. This is more like being in combat where things are flying at me nonstop. And when I remember to frame it that way, I relax so much. I realize I don't have to resolve the problem right now because
Yeah.
even if I resolve the problem right now, there's other problems happening. So it's not fully resolved.
Definitely.
Like,
Definitely.
you know, if the problem is I ordered the wrong food, okay, I can fix the food order, but that's not the full problem. There's other problems going on too that I have no control over. So maybe over
It's true.
time those problems will change, but yeah, so I think that's how I kind of came up with it. Um, Also, just
Brilliant.
feeling overwhelmed. Feeling overwhelmed. Like, there's just a lot of stuff. And thinking about being more public on the internet, thinking,
Yeah.
man, some of these public celebrities and the DMs they get and the accusations they get and the people
Yeah.
making fake porn videos of them. And it's like, what? Like,
Yeah,
oh my
we
God,
might
being a celebrity is no joke, man.
no joke, man. It's sick. It's crazy. It's painful. Sometimes
But
you wish you don't have.
exhilarating, you know?
Yeah, I mean, there's some highs about it. There's highs of highs. There's low of lows as well. So it is what it is,
Yeah.
isn't it? I
It's a
always
lot,
say,
right? Yeah.
okay, this is interesting. Let me say this. Let me see. Let me be careful how I say this because it's a sensitive conversation right now. Do you think that P Diddy would be going through whatsoever he's going through now had he not been P Diddy?
So I'm not too familiar with the situation. I think he's in court for some sexual assault, physical assault.
Racketeering, sexual assault, and several other
Racketeering.
things.
Um, you mean if he had not been P Diddy, as in like the famous rapper P Diddy?
Yeah, the famous rapper,
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Like you said about athletes, there are plenty of famous rappers who don't do that. So I don't think it's because to be a famous rapper, it means you do that. But maybe based on his history, based on what he learned as a kid, based on his experience, that being that famous may have amplified or made, brought so many different conflicts to his life that he couldn't deal with. I don't know. Um, yeah, I mean,
from
I
an
think
emotional from an emotional defense system angle, from an emotional combat perspective. I mean, that man seemed to have been really troubled, having all um, those freaky shows and things like that. I mean, that must be from somebody that's either very deranged or somebody that is really, really traumatized and they're trying to just find an escape route. To them, they chose the um, extreme route because they can afford it. Um, from the context of emotional defense system, from the context of emotional combat, how would you explain your concept?
I thought the other day of a phrase. I said, "We're not addicted; we're conflicted." In this idea that we have a lot of conflicts in our lives, and sometimes we become so overwhelmed by them that we
Yeah,
just run away to other things. We think the cocaine is going to be a solution. We think the alcohol is going
yeah,
to be a solution. We think working
yeah,
90 or 100 hours a week is going to be the solution.
Stop blaming me. I love work.
I tried to put a number that was even too high for you, but I don't know. Oh, well, but okay, there was a academic paper I read a couple months ago. It talked about escapism, and it says that it believes we do escapism for two main purposes. One is self-suppression, where we have these problems in our life and we're trying to avoid them. And then the other one is
Mm.
self-expression, where we have these problems in our lives and we're trying to stop thinking about them for a little bit so that we can come back and solve them. Like the example of you saying taking a vacation to Bali. You weren't saying let's go to Bali and forget that problems exist back home and then we come back home and everything's still shit. No, it was
Yeah.
let's go to Bali so that I can maybe have new insights so when I come back home I'm better capable of solving these problems. I think
Exactly.
some people even use drugs that way. Some people use ayahuasca, some people use DMT, some people try to use even alcohol sometimes. Sometimes
Yeah.
alcohol is not that I'm using alcohol to forget about life, it's I'm using alcohol so I can connect better with my friends. Like that's actually not forgetting about life. It's maybe if I use alcohol, my friend uses alcohol, we'll have a real honest conversation finally. you know? So I think sometimes if you look at like maybe what P. Diddy was doing or what some other celebrities do when it comes to sexual assault and the Me Too movement and some of this is just feeling a tremendous amount of pressure and taking it out in
Yeah.
this really unhealthy way that doesn't really solve the problems, just creates more problems for them.
Yeah.
Maybe in the moment it seems like it'll solve the problem, but it doesn't.
It
And it
never
can really
does,
catch
right?
up
It
with
never
people.
does. Like it
I mean,
entirely never.
exactly. It just adds more conflicts to the situation. Because if you do something like that, now you have to hide it because you might go to prison, and now you're worried about hiding it. And so you have all these NDA forms, and you have all these, you become even more controlling over your communication with people, and it just adds more and more conflicts.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. But I think in a situation like that, just coming back to our conversation, I think I was having a chat with a friend of mine recently, Marion. So we're talking about, let's say, I have quite a lot of conflicts going on in my life. Jimmy, you know the situation that I've gone through, losing my son, having broken
Mm.
marriage, and then shortly losing my mom. Both me and you understand the pain of losing our mothers. Shortly after I
Mm.
lost my mom, you lost your mom. Um, and then you have a friend that really cares for you, and then they probably know you quite a bit as well. Um, Jackie, are you there?
Hold on for a second. Hopefully his audio comes back because it's a very key moment, and I don't want to have to edit too much in post. So please, Daniel, come back. Oh, well, I'll just talk until Daniel comes back. It was a
Is it
very
my
important
internet
moment
or
where
is your
Daniel
internet?
Oh,
Are
you're
you there?
back. Yep, you're
I
back.
think
Okay.
it is your internet. It's not mine. It was
It could
reconnecting
be.
on your side.
It could be. It could be. It could be. Yeah. Could be.
So I was having a chat with this friend of mine, Marion, and Marion was saying, Daniel, sometimes um, when a friend or somebody you love is going through a situation, maybe all they need is for you to listen, not for you to give an opinion or to, make a statement. Sometimes they just want you to be there. Maybe they just need a hug. Maybe they just need to know that they're not alone. That oftentimes we just don't know how to shut up. Like we always want to fix things. That our urge and our desire to want to fix things sometimes end up creating more situations of conflict than if we just sat there and listened. And if somebody is really annoyed with you, instead of you trying to fix them, um, maybe it's better just keep quiet and let the emotions simmer. That if somebody is grieving, probably they've lost somebody, don't come and start giving them the classic line of "it's God's will." It's total bullshit. But we like saying all these kind of things, and unfortunately, it ends up aggravating and hurting this person even deeper.
Hmm.
That when somebody is drowning, our classic conversation was that if somebody is drowning, stop teaching them how to swim.
Hmm.
You know, this
Mm-hmm.
try to get them out of the water. You know, if you can get them out of the water, get them out of the water. Don't try to teach them how to swim. That's not the best
Hmm.
time. And sometimes we're trying to teach people how to cope with different situations, cope with their pain, and that's the classic way of us trying to help. And in that classic way of us trying to help, we end up creating an enmity with people that we love without intending to. And then you find that they would rather stay away from you because of some of the things that you said in a good heart of trying to help them. I don't know. What are your thoughts about?
I think, I think it's a huge realization for me. I think why I like the idea of emotional combat because it breaks me from that thinking that the problem that they are describing is 100% of the problem. Because, for example, if someone comes to you and says, the problem is, I'm just not comfortable with my living situation. And you say, well, I have
Mm,
this very nice house. You can stay in this house for free. You can stay here and it'll be great. And it's everything
yeah,
that you described and what you want in a house. And like you actually have a solution to the problem they described. But maybe that problem is only
yeah,
10% of the problem. Maybe 90% of the problem is what they're not aware of, or they don't have the courage to talk about it, whatever. And so if you actually solve the 10%, they're like, well, that's not going to fix it. So there can be that frustration. I try to expand and see what are the other causes of the,
yeah.
what else is going on, and what percentages are they contributing to the situation. Because
Mm,
maybe, for example, the problem they say, oh, the problem, like in a relationship, oh, the problem is that you just uh, don't care about me, or you don't spend enough time with me. Okay, and then he's like, okay, I'll spend more time with you. The problem's not spending time. The problem's that maybe they're really stressed out about money. And so if you
yeah.
spend more time with them, you have less money, right? And then they're more stressed out.
Exactly.
And so
Exactly.
trying to figure out like, or vice versa, right? So maybe you have a ton of money, but you don't spend any time with them. And they're like, well, I
Mm,
just, you don't take me on vacation. You're thinking, well, they just
mm,
want money to go on vacation. No, they want to spend time with you.
mm.
Or they just want to break because they're stressed out about work, so they want to go on vacation to relax. And you're thinking, oh, we're going to go on vacation, we're going to dance, we're going to go crazy. And the person's like, no, I just want to sleep. So trying to figure out what are some of the other problems going on that sometimes the other
Yeah,
person doesn't want to say or doesn't even know to say. And
yeah.
so, like you said, kind of listening, but listening in a more expansive way, listening where they don't even maybe know what to say.
Well, when you want to listen in an expansive way, then you're trying to fix things again.
Or trying to connect to them and understand their situation. Because I think if I connect to a large extent about the different problems in their life, sometimes I go, there's not much I can do about most of those things. Like, so then
Yeah.
my drive to like completely fix it kind of reduces a bit. I think we should still have some drive to try to help people. But I think it's that obsession of if I fix this, then everything will be fine. No, not necessarily. It's not going to be fine. There's always going to be fights. There's always going to be conflicts, no matter how
I,
much
I
I
always
fix.
have I always try to use the formula.
Mm.
I have a small formula that I like teaching people when I'm doing my sales training,
Hmm.
or when I'm just talking to people. Um, I'm like, if you want to get positive results in most of the things that you do, if you want to get a positive results in terms of connecting in your relationship, if you want to get a positive results in terms of your exertions in your work, there are three critical things you have to look at. The first one is that there are some questions you have to ask yourself. The first one is, what is my attitude right now towards this?
Mm.
What is my attitude towards maybe my work? What is my attitude towards my partner? What's my attitude towards this particular problem? In terms of when you look at attitude, you break it into four. Your mental connection to it, cognitive power, your physical fitness to deal with that situation. Because sometimes you're physically
Mm.
constrained and all the anxiety and stress is written on our face because you're physically not ready to deal with a situation like that. The third one is the emotional alignment to it. Are you emotionally strong enough? when you talk about emotional defense system, are you emotionally strong enough to go through it? Do you have a thick skin emotionally to go through whatsoever it is that is? And then, are you spiritually connected to it? You know, you say that a spiritual connection to a situation, getting a result, to solving a problem, it's you connecting to your higher self in terms of
Mm,
soulfulness. So that's the foundation. And then for me, if that foundation is not strong in terms of the attitude, this is a very you're not gonna get things right. So that's
mm,
the first thing I look at. The second one I look at, do you have the competence to handle that situation? If it is a job
mm,
that you're doing, do you have the competence to do the job? If it is an emotional connection with your partner, do you have some knowledge? Do you have some competence to ensure that you can connect to this person better, faster, deeper? Because ignorance sometimes kills us. This gentleman talks about the five love languages. Some people they love physical touch, others want gifts, others want quality time, others want act of kindness, others the five. I don't know the
mm,
rest, but uh, like, do you have the competence to like do that, connect at that level, or to solve whichever problem you're dealing with, or to do the job that you've been given? That if you don't have the competence, you end up getting anxious and you create more problems.
mm,
And then the third thing I look at is if you want to do something about it, do it. Don't procrastinate about it. Don't think about it. If you think that taking your partner out for dinner will solve the problem, take them to dinner. Like, do it.
mm.
Execute. Don't think it. Just execute. Be somebody who is good at executing the ideas that you have. Does it mean that every time you execute, you'll get the positive outcome? No. But you'll always get a negative outcome when you don't execute every time. So for me, that's how I look at that. If you want to solve situations or handle situations that requires you to get positive results, you have to look at your attitude, you have to look at your competence at doing it, and then are you an executioner or you're just a talker? What do you think?
As you were saying it, I was thinking, oh, he's got A, he's got C. Where's the B? He needs a B. And then you said the last one, I was like, bravery. Bravery to actually do the thing. Like, do it. Like, have the courage to actually get up and do it. You
Yeah.
don't have to force it. You don't have to force it. I think you like execution too. But, like, no, I think, yeah, I like what you talk about with attitude, that there are different things that contribute to our attitude towards work,
Yeah.
towards life, towards, I mean, if I didn't sleep well, like right now, I'm like kind of leaning, I'm tired. Like that contributes.
Yeah.
I'm hungry.
Yeah.
That contributes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the intellectual side, the emotional side, spiritual side. Yeah, I think it's really interesting to look at it from different angles. Again, I think that helps a lot. Competence for
And
sure. I
unfortunately,
think.
we are not 100%. We are not 100% in all the four. At some
Yeah.
point, you are lacking
Never.
one of those.
Yeah.
That's why.
Competence
That's
I
why
like
conflict will always.
because sometimes when I get really angry, it's I either attack somebody's intention, which might be more like the attitude, some similar to that kind of. But often I've become really good at defending people's intentions. But then the next thing I attack is people's competence. How could you be so stupid? What's wrong with you? You're like, this is interesting. I might like these three things actually, because the third thing that I attack often is people's bravery. I say, wow, you're such a
Yeah.
coward. Like, those are the things that tend to get me like quite angry. Like in conflicts, I tend to go after people's like lack of bravery, lack of competence, or lack of
Yeah.
attitude. Yeah, attitude, kind of energy, emotional, whatever you want to call it. Huh, intention.
Uh-huh.
Huh, no, I like that a
Uh,
lot. Oh yeah, because I attack competence and bravery a lot. I've noticed in the last couple of days, like there's been some conflicts I'm in. I'm like, God, this person is such an absolute coward. I don't say it to them, but that's my initial reaction. Like, God, what a coward. Like what?
that's already that's already that's
Okay,
already self conflict. You already have an
okay.
internal conflict about it.
This one may be too vulgar, but whatever. It's my show. I can say whatever I want. I think as men, talking about the aspect of bravery, I think as men we're often taught it's important to have a big dick. You know, you gotta have a big dick, you know? But but how often do we talk nowadays about the importance of having big balls? The importance of having courage and bravery. We don't talk about it so
Yeah,
much. It's like
not
have a
much.
big weapon, but no, have a big gun. but like, or have the courage to like get punched in the face. It's different, right? You know?
Totally, totally. Um, yeah, I hear you, man. But I mean, I think conflict is also good. We shouldn't totally rubbish it.
You can't get
Sometimes
rid of it.
conflict,
There's always conflict, man.
yes,
You
conflict
can get rid
helps you
of.
to move. Yeah, it helps you to it helps us to move to change what is to something that is better. So, and because of that, because it's always there, I think when you talk about emotional defense system, when you talk about emotional combat, I think those phenomenal ideas, it's very timely that we let the world appreciate it more. It's very
Hmm.
timely that we have some kind of a roadmap on how somebody can be able to have an emotional defense system that keeps them aligned to the positive energy that helps them to achieve great things, that helps them build deeper and better relationship, that helps them learn how to live with themselves. Um, so what you're doing for me, it's about time. It's about time somebody
Hmm.
handles something like that. I kind of feel like you being on social media is such a great thing that every single time you have an opportunity to teach us, it could be one person that learn, but you should appreciate the fact the, the factorial they call it what factorials that one person knows 100 people, that
Hmm.
one person, if they use the concept and it help them, they can be able to help other people. And sometimes it's so easy to get disheartened because of not many people following. Let's say this podcast, maybe five or
Hmm.
six or seven people will probably listen to it, or even 100 or so. But for me, it's important that we keep doing it until we are able to help as many people as possible, because ultimately you just never know who is watching this and following this from the start to the finish. So what we're doing is a good thing, and we must not stop. We must keep going. And as a personal message, I'm a salesman. For whoever is watching this or listening to this, Jim achieving the $40,000 in 40 days is very important in making sure this message like this can transverse and reach as many people as possible. You never know, somebody needs this message right now to to give them continuity in life, to give them hope, not to
Hmm.
give up, to stimulate something within them, that to spark something within them that can make them better human beings, that can help them to serve their purpose, to make them live a brave life with bravery, like the sales warrior, like Mr. JK over there. So let's support $10, $25, $500, $10,000, $1,000, about $1 million. These are all things that we need to come, so we can be able to make sure that this message reaches as many people as possible. JK, I thought I should say that.
I appreciate a lot. Like when you started saying like 10,000, I was a big weird little smile came across my face. I was like, what? No, look at this man. Look at this man go big. Yeah, it's I was talking with a friend of mine yesterday. A guy, he's kind of mentoring me in this process as well, and known him since I was 12 or something. And we had this conversation. He's like, "But why scaling? Like, what are you so afraid about with scaling?" It's that I think
Yeah,
people don't just need to hear the message once. I think sometimes it can be
yeah.
dangerous for somebody to hear a message once and then be like, "Oh, so now I have hope," and then I've opened up, and then that
Now let me try.
that element of hope disappears and that person gets hit really
Yeah,
hard. I mean, this has happened to
that's
people
true.
in my life. I think that
That's
I've been in, relationship with in some ways that they interact with me, they start to open up. As they start to open up more, it causes conflicts in their life because people are like, "Why are you crying? You never used to cry. Why are you such a baby now?" It's like, no, it's okay to
yeah,
cry. They start to believe it's okay to cry, but then they get in
yeah,
these fights with other people in their life who say it's not, and I'm not there to support them anymore. And so they're
yeah,
like fighting a battle, they're fighting in combat by themselves. And so one of the
yeah.
things that's motivating me even more now with this fundraising is that it's not about hearing the message once. It's about having somebody by your side, having a system, having a person, having a podcast, having a network of people by your side throughout this. Not like one, I lift you up for a minute and then I disappear. Like lift you up, might get punched more, right? Because now your head's up above and people can see you. And
Yeah.
so it's the idea of long-term support. And there's
Mm,
almost an emotional responsibility that I've been afraid of. If I
mm,
become more famous and I start talking about these things and people start
mm.
listening more regularly and then they start changing their lives and I just disappear or the framework disappears or the group, whatever, disappears, it can cause a lot of problems for people.
Yeah,
So,
that's possible. That's
so
true.
yeah. So thank you for using your sales your competence and attitude and
Mr.
bravery.
DC, the sales warrior, Mr.
Mr.
DC.
DC, the sales warrior. You know, one thing
Yeah.
I know we've said 45 minutes, so let's wrap up in the next 3 minutes. It's about 60 minutes, but just to say, like, I appreciate that you talk about sales, and I think a lot of people think of sales sometimes as sleazy, as conniving, trying to trick the other person. But you talked about contribution, collaboration, and caring. I don't think most people associate that with sales, so at least most people outside of sales. So I'm grateful that you take this approach to sales.
Yeah. Interesting. Many people don't love salespeople because sales has been tainted with so many superlatives of negativity. Um, and let's be honest, a lot of people have also not been good. Uh, they have not been people of integrity in sales. I always in my training of salespeople, I always tell them about the three principles of the buyer, uh, three principles of the buyer's behavior. That as a buyer is trying to connect with your message or your product, they're asking themselves three questions. The first one is, do I like this person as a person? Do I like
Mm,
them? Do I like the energy that we are resonating with? Do I like the flow? Are we connecting? Is there that kind of soulful connection? Is there that intellectual level of connection? Because some people are just naturally not likable. Sorry.
mm.
And I
I would
always
say
say,
have patterns. I would say have attitudes that make them, or competences that make them not likable. That can change. That can change.
yeah, yeah, maybe using the word naturally, maybe that's, yeah, everybody can change. So
They
I
can
must
learn the
like and connect with
ABCs.
you as a person. Yes, I must like and connect. So uh, the rapport building, the human to human connection is very important in sales. The second principle is I must like and connect with the brand you represent. So every single day we have got to build a brand. There are some brands in the world that is synonymous with excellence. Mercedes Benz, you're gonna have a slick car. Rolls Royce engines for planes. Most of the public transport planes use Rolls Royce engines. Um, name them. There's so many brands that are connected with excellence. Be it the iPhone that you're using, that I use. Um, is connected with excellence. So how about your personal brand be connected with excellence as well? How about the company that you represent be connected with excellence, be connected with integrity, be connected with honesty, with care, with kindness? Um, it helps to be a good human being. Um, one of
Mm.
your great American poet, Maya Angelou, said um, that what I don't seem to remember the exact lines. He said that I care that what you do is so loud that I can't hear you. You say one thing and then you do another thing. Said that you have to care. Like if you care so much, people will resonate with you better than if you do so much. So sometimes if you brand, I've forgotten that quote by Maya Angelou. I wish I could remember, but if I do, probably I'll write it down. But there's an exact. I wanted to quote it verbatim. And then the third principle is I must like and connect with the solution that you are pitching to me because it's
Mm.
about my need. It's not about your product. What's the need in the market? The solution that you are pitching to me must solve a need that I have. People like Warren Buffett. people like President Museveni here, people like Sodiru Paleria, if I can talk about people here in Uganda, people like uh, Mohammed in Tanzania, people like the Uhuru Kenyatta family. They have found a problem that many people have, and they've decided to provide solutions in that space to solve it. And that's why they're multi-million dollar rich, because they're providing solutions for people's needs. When you provide solutions for people's needs, when JK provides solutions to emotional needs that people have, then a lot of people are going to resonate with your message. A lot of people are going to buy your products and things like that. So those three principles, as we sell, we must never forget that. Number one, be likable. Number two, be a brand that is known for excellence. Number three, make the solution address people's needs. When you do that, then you don't have to manipulate anyone to buy anything from you. So I want to end on that note. Over to you.
I love it. I love it. Because sometimes people will buy something, or sometimes I'll buy something just because I like the person. Even if the solution doesn't
Yes.
help me that much, it's like I like the person, so let me just buy it.
Yeah.
Or maybe the
Yeah.
pizza's not as good as the other pizza, but it's my friend, so I'm gonna buy
Yeah.
the pizza.
It's such a good time having a chat with you. That's it. Yeah.
So yeah, I appreciate. I think what I've realized in this conversation and why I switched from emotional self-defense to emotional combat is that emotional self-defense is just reactive, whereas combat is more proactive. It's like trying to go out, it's trying to change, trying to solve problems that other people are having, not just
Mm.
protect myself. And I think sales has that element as well. Sales is very proactive. You're not sitting back just
Yeah.
defending yourself, taking the punches, which I think
I
is
think
still important.
at some
But
point
like
you
you're
need
reaching
both.
out, you need both. No, I think it's important. I think it's necessary, right? Because sales, you get rejected a lot and all this stuff. Um, but I think it's important. What I like about sales and how you framed it is it's proactive in trying to figure out how to help the buyer solve their
Yeah.
problems. And one of the problems is just having people that they like in their life, or having a brand that they can trust, having that trust. So,
That's
Daniel,
true.
we could talk for a long, long time. I'm getting
Mhm.
tired. I think my internet or your internet is also getting tired. So
That's true.
we can end this
That's true. Thank you,
conversation here.
JK.
But please check out Daniel Choudry. Like he said, he is all over Google and probably all over ChatGPT as well. If you search Uganda and sales, or East Africa or world, or I don't know what his new Kampala is.
It's happening. It's
Maybe
happening.
it's new.
All that you're
Maybe
saying
his
is
new
happening.
Kampala is New York. I don't know if it's New York or DC or London, but yeah. So
Thank you.
um, always good catching up with you. I
Thank
love you, man. Thanks for joining the show,
you. I love
and
you.
yeah,
Have a
take
good
care.
night. Okay.
All right, bye.
Okay.